Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we will see how to write a narrative essay. Although previously you have done some narrative essays, but as you know, we need to keep on practicing the narrative essays. Paper 1 writing, section 2 30 marks, and you need to write 500 to 600 words. So today we will see what are the further considerations in writing a narrative essay to make your attempt better. First of all, let's see what is a narrative essay. You have written many narrative essays before. A narrative essay is a story about your experience, either imaginary or real. Many students ask that something has never happened to them, how they can write it. Basically, this can be imaginary or your own experience or a mixture of both. It can also tell a story of somebody's life. It may not have happened in your life, but in someone else's life as well. So components of a narrative is a plot, characters, setting, and description. These are the four main components of the narrative. What is the plot of your narrative? Then the characters, you need to choose how many characters will be there, 2 or 3. Do not uh, uh, involve more than 2 to 3 characters to make it simple. And setting, and then the description. Now we will see in detail these things. Narrative linear plot is given. As you can see, first is the introduction part, second is rising action, then you will reach a climax, then falling action, then conclusion. Or you can say that this is the beginning. This introduction can be the beginning. This rising action, climax, and falling action are the middle part of the essay, of the narrative, and then conclusion is the end part of the essay. So what is a beginning? Beginning describes and introduces people, places, and time. What is a middle? It may include several paragraphs, more actions, activities and events, main characters expanded. Then in the last part, the end part, you will resolve the complication. End story with a twist. You can end a story with a twist, or leave reader with question or mystery. These are called cliffhangers because these are short stories. This is the difference between a short story and a novel. A short story ends on a question, a mystery, or a cliffhanger to leave a suspense in the end. So these are the components of the narrative that you are going to write and plan. Point of view: whenever a story is written, whenever a narrative written, it is written from some person's point of view. That person can be I, means yourself, he, she, or a third person, right? He, she is a third person basically. So you can write it from your own perspective, your own point of view, or from someone else, he or she, the third person. What is the point of view? It describes from which character's perspective the story is presented to the audience. What Either you are the person who is witnessing it, or either there is a third person from whose point of view you are writing it. Then there are some points to remember in narrative writing. Use past tense, remember, because we are writing a story. Story is always written in past tense. Describe events in order, in the right order, but remember that you can use flashbacks, and flashbacks are very important tools in writing a narrative, but we will practice flashbacks later. We still have time before we appear in CA exams. Flashbacks and how to use flashbacks I will be telling you later. So make sure that the events are in correct order. Don't hover between the time that you are describing. You certainly remember something and start describing it which is not in the correct order. So for that, planning is very important. Don't use too much dialogues. Remember that using dialogues in narrative is essential, but using too much dialogues is unnecessary. Use a dialogue when it is required, when it clarifies the situation, when it describes some character. So whenever the dialogue is used, it should be used necessarily, not unnecessarily. Then use sensory details like sight, whatever you are seeing, to describe the scene. Sounds, smell, taste, and hear. These create senses in the mind of the reader. These uh, uh, describe the senses. So this creates an image in the mind of the reader, right? So this is very important. Use sensory details like sight, sound, smell, taste and hear to create an image in the mind of the reader, so that the reader feels that he is into the story and he can enjoy it. Use descriptive language, clear verbs, adjectives. Whenever you are describing some action, use clear verbs, use clear adjectives to describe your characters, and use clear adverbs to describe the verbs, the actions in the story. So use simple language. And then getting started, first of all you will plan your narrative. Think about the essay topic, whatever the topic is given to you, think about it, and remember that you can imagine things. A good writer is a, has writers have good imagination powers. So it is not necessary at all that some event has happened to you or someone else that you have heard from. You should use your imagination. Think about the characters, setting and events. What are the characters we are going to involve in the story? What will be the setting of the story? What is the event that is taking place there? What is the occasion and event? Then write outline of the plot. To write an outline of the plot, you can do very simple working like beginning, what is happening in the beginning, then the middle, what are you going to write in the middle, write some points, then at the end what are you are going to write, so that you do not miss any details, so that your story remains in the correct order. This should not be lengthy. The outline. So it should, it is for your own. It is for your use. It is not going to be submitted to the examiner. Then write your narrative, and after writing it, revise for grammar check and sentence structure. See that you have covered all the details, the outline in the story, and make sure that you have not made any grammatical errors, and if you have, correct them, and then submit the work. So I want you to go through these. I am giving you a topic to write a narrative, and the topic of today is that write a story which includes the sentence comma inverted commas begin. I never thought that I can forgive that person. I'm repeating it. The topic of the story is that I never thought that I could forgive that person. So I'm waiting for your work. Write your narrative according to the instructions that I have given, and send me the scanned copy of the narrative when you finish it. If you cannot finish it today, then in the next lecture tomorrow, send me during the English class. Do not send it after the English class is over. So thank you for now.